and gentlemen, welcome to your pop culture roundup. I've been talking about the Super Bowl all week, but I didn't realize it really wasn't until today. And then I realized, shiz, Sophie's probably going to watch the Super Bowl because she's super into sports. And but she's still here today. Listen, I don't know when her podcast is coming back because she has like 30 billion things, but I did want to highlight right up top her Substack. It's sophieross.substack.com. And I was just scrolling through it right now, and it's kind of insanely amazing, just the amount of stuff. I'm just like, you got Ariel Charnas in here, you got White Lotus, you got Lily Rose Depp and Nepo babies, you got James Corden's downfall, you got the Try Guy saga, you got Ye, you got all of these kind of amazing, deeper pop culture stories than we're able to even get into. So I wanted to give that a shout out at the beginning, but screw that. Let's get down to business. We got Sophie Ross. What is up, Sophie? What'd you cook for the Super Bowl today?
Hi guys. Oh my God, stop. I actually Ryan knows I'm like a little frantic right now because I just made sure to get completely, because we have to go to the Super Bowl party soon. It's 4:30 my time and the game starts, I think, at 6:30. But anyway, I just got completely ready. I just kind of like did my hair, but I'm probably gonna like take it down. So if you're watching this on YouTube, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing today. But I made Cincinnati chili dip. I still need to put it in the oven, but it's cream cheese, Cincinnati chili. It's called Skyline chili, and then cheddar cheese on top, and then Tostitos scoops I'm bringing, and then also hot sauce. And that's my contribution to the Super Bowl party.
Whose friends are they mutual friends, or are they his friends and now your friends, or your friends and now his friends?
They are my boyfriend's like Eagles, because the Eagles are playing and he's an Eagles fan. We're watching with Eagles people. So it should be interesting. I'm wearing but yeah.
Well, listen, I don't know if you know, but by the time you even get to this party, we might be under attack by aliens. We just shot down our third unidentified object.
Ryan, I keep fantasizing about the aliens like landing in the middle of the Super Bowl, and it's like Bane. Like, wouldn't that be fun?
People of Los Angeles, I am your leader now.
Yeah. Like, that would be like kind of fun and cool. But yeah, there's like UFO, there is the Chinese spy balloon, and there's Chernobyl 2.0 in Ohio.
Wait, what's Chernobyl 2.0? What's going on in Ohio? What?
There's a poisonous train crash that is releasing toxic fumes. A whole Ohio, it's East Palestine, Ohio, had to evacuate, and no one's talking about it. And the government is like,
I have not heard about this at all.
Yeah, exactly. I have not heard about this. Exactly. A whole town in Ohio had to evacuate, and pets have died from the toxic fumes from this train crash, and no one's talking about it. The government is like trying to cover it up. Like, it's really crazy, guys. If I get assassinated after recording this, you know who did it.
Wait, fine. Well, listen, I was just about to, until you said the pet thing, which really bummed me out, I was going to be like, well, this is what happens when you release on the same week as Vanderpump Rules season premiere. It gets totally overshadowed. It totally gets overshadowed. But this is, I mean, I got to say, I'm really kind of weirdly horrified, but at the same time, kind of like, well, I guess we're due for an alien invasion. Like, it wouldn't shock me. I more think it's probably like China and Russia, like teaming up for something, but I do not know about the Ohio thing.
China and Russia Eiffel Towering us.
DP, Russia teabagging us with all their might. That's horrifying, you guys. It would be cool if the aliens did go on Disturbia, like Disturbia, and like there's a huge spaceship, and everybody would think it would be part of the show.
Wait, that'd be kind of amazing if the aliens were like, yeah, let's fuck shit up. And then they see that Rihanna's performing and they're like, wait, hold up. And then they're like, bump, beat up, bump, beat up.
And little alien people are dancing. And the crappy thing is, if aliens did, like, you'd have at the SoFi Center or where in Arizona, you would have like a bunch of people stitching TikToks of like, oh my God. And you would have like the TikTok music behind it. People would already start doing alien TikTok dances. It would be insane. Rihanna, are you excited to see her? Because that's what everybody, it's too funny now where it's like, that's all everybody's talking about.
Oh my God.
Do you have an opinion?
Excited. I'm so excited. In the Super Bowl party that we're going to, we all had to do one of those like surveys where it's like your whoever wins the most. It's like, how long is the what's it called going to be? I don't know why I can't talk right now.
13 minutes. 13 minutes. 13 minutes.
No, not the halftime show. The Pledge of Allegiance. No, the national anthem.
Oh yes, yeah, the national anthem. They always take bets on how long the national anthem goes.
Right. So it's like little questions like that, and it's like, what's the first commercial gonna be? And I said a car commercial. What is the song that Rihanna's gonna open to? Like, what's her opening song gonna be? And I think it's gonna be Run This Town. But I could also see it being We Found Love. So we'll see. We'll see.
Do you think there's going to be a special guest? Because I was wondering if she was going to bring out Eminem. Like somebody said Calvin Harris, and I was like, I don't think enough people know Calvin Harris's face, even though she has that. Like I wouldn't like somebody on the ones and twos, like DJ James Kennedy, ga 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 ga. Like I don't think she'll have a duet or like a special guest.
Eminem would be interesting. What's the one song they did together about tying her to the bed and setting the house on fire? Love the way you lie.
I think no, it's actually called Tying You Up to the Bed and the House is on Fire. Yeah.
Love the way you lie. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
I like Rihanna seemed really unbothered by this whole thing. Like we're all freaking out and she's like, yeah, we're just changing things. I'm just trying to have fun. And then she announced yesterday, she's like, you know what? An album's going to be a lot of work at this time for me. So I think we're going to have to wait on that. Like it's really hysterical. I mean, I guess when you're a billionaire of a Fenty empire, you really don't need to give a shit what anybody else thinks.
I think that she is going to announce something. Like, I don't know if it's going to be a tour, residency, new album. I feel like there's going to be something only because it's like Apple Music is like, it's their halftime show. It's going to be something.
And it's their first one. It's the first Apple Music halftime show, right?
Well, it's going to be something with Apple Music. If it's like an Apple Music exclusive album, I will be like, that is the smartest thing, Apple Music, because that's the only reason I would use Apple Music.
What if it's something dumb like a Rihanna colored iPad? It's like Rihanna's face on an iPad. No, I did hear the concert thing. I heard the residency concert thing where she was going to be picking like certain venues and she would be doing like 5 shows at that venue over amount of time so she wouldn't have to travel to each town. I heard that was a distinct possibility after this, but we'll see. Is there any good sports gossip? Well, which by the way, and how dare you, Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, to make this about yourself on this day of Rihanna's, like this is Rihanna's day. And now all of a sudden we're dealing with Megan Fox deleting her Instagram account after she started calling out Machine Gun Kelly. You obviously saw this, right?
How dare you, Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly? Whatever's going on, I feel bad because it does not seem good. With Megan Fox,
she posted the one thing. Did you see the one thing she posted with the thing in the background? And if you flip the image, you could read that it was like how to get away from domestic abuse. Did you see that?
Yes.
That's on purpose, obviously.
I think it's on purpose, obviously. And something is definitely up. And I mean, people that follow her closely have noticed like she's been kind of dropping hints for a while now. So like, I don't know. I hope she's okay.
I hate that it's like a Beyonce album, like dropping hints. Like when you're dropping hints to get out of a relationship, like it's a surprise album, but they've obviously been fighting now for a year, but they're also engaged. They drank each other's blood under a banyan tree at their engagement. And then last night they were in Arizona for Super Bowl parties, and Machine Gun Kelly, no offense, I know a lot of you guys like him, but he looks like a goofy version of an X-Men. He's always like dressed like, you know, and he supposedly electrocuted himself at his Super Bowl performance, which I was like, oh, nice, cool. But Megan Fox, it just seems like she called him out for lying, and then she unfollowed everybody except for Eminem, Timothy Chalamet, and who was the other one? Harry Styles.
Yeah.
But we know Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly hate each other, so that was a direct slam. But who has a problem with Timothy Chalamet? Like Machine Gun Kelly hates Timothy Chalamet? What like a little kid to hate?
I know. That's really weird. That's a weird one. I don't know how like calculated those follows are, but definitely interesting. Something is going on for sure.
So I guess I need to get I'm hoping you dug it as much as I did, but what did you think of the premiere of Vanderpump Rules?
I loved it. I thought it was so fun. We're seeing Raquel, Lala, and Katie be single. Like, I feel like that's something that we've been missing for the past few seasons from some of the flop seasons is like, there's no like hooking up. It's all these old married couples having babies. Like, no one cares about that. So the fact that we have these newly single, like messy, like Raquel is in her villain era. Um,
But did
James,
you notice how Raquel got into her voice? Like I was watching the end of last season and she was still in the shaky voice. And this season she's like, "What's going on, everybody? I'm Raquel." And it's like a very clear,
yeah.
stronger voice than last season.
Yeah, I think maybe she was like scared of James when they were together. I don't really know, but James is clearly fallen off the wagon again. What else? What else happened?
Well, the Peter thing with the nachos was hysterical. Like the nachos thing of like,
Yeah.
I really wanted to get you those nachos, Raquel. She's like, I don't know. Did I want nachos? You did. You kept saying it the other
Yeah.
night, and I'm gonna get you those nachos.
Yeah, he was like, ever since you said the other night that you wanted nachos, I have been on a mission to get you those nachos. And she's like, did I? She was like, I forgot about those nachos, honestly.
He's like, you're gonna eat those fucking nachos, whatever. You're gonna eat those nachos. And then at the end, they go to this party together, and he's like, well, I'm gonna get good and wasted tonight. And I'm like, what a weirdo. He's like, just like, well, I'm gonna sit here and get inebriated by myself then. Okay, like sounds good. And
Yeah.
everybody, I like that Peter finally has a storyline, but it's that he's kind of geeky.
He has no idea. Like,
Oh,
he's always so oblivious to the fact that these women aren't actually into him. Like, I feel like Peter like thinks he has chemistry with all of these women. Remember like Vale? Like, he always
yeah.
thinks he has chemistry, and it's like Raquel wants nothing to do with you.
Well, even she says, she goes, he's not really my type, but he's a man. Like he pays his bills on time, kind of a vibe. And DJ James Kennedy's like a baby. But like
Yeah.
even DJ James Kennedy's like, yeah, he always talks about how many bitches he fucks, getting on that big belly. Like DJ James Kennedy is a repulsive person that happens to like be weirdly funny in the meanest way. He's like a 5-year-old.
Oh my God. Oh my God. James Kennedy. Remember when he was putting on his elf powder? Like I missed those confessional. The James, he's a horrible person, but his confessionals are unmatched.
That's I said, no matter how you feel about him, you can't deny that it's like a Jax 2.0 in certain ways. Like we need somebody to be that big of a prick to actually make this show go. And he's not going to be like like people aren't going to be like fall in love with him, but he's going to make this show continue to go because he says reprehensible things and it needs that. What do you think about Katie and Schwartz, that relationship finally seeing it kind of dissipate?
Well, we're finally kind of seeing, I feel like Tom Schwartz's mask is officially falling this season. So for like the past decade, we've seen Schwartz kind of be like, he kind of like suppresses that like asshole side of himself for Katie. He's like the meek little like, you know, oh Bubba. But it's like we are, I feel like, going to see Schwartz become the asshole that he really is this season. And Katie, I'm sorry, by the way, my man's
is he there? He's like, let's go.
I know. I was telling Ryan that we need to leave for the Super Bowl party at a certain time. So, okay.
Yeah.
Did you preheat the oven, cutie pie? Okay. Love you, sweetie. Love you, sweetie.
Sorry,
baby.
Sorry, dude. No, I think the Schwartz thing, you're right. We are going to see him kind of, I mean, Katie was always there. Like the reason why we all kind of love Katie right now is because we actually saw her and what she had to put up with. So we like kind of like, I mean, I don't hate Tom Schwartz at all, but we saw what Katie had to go through. And also Katie's honest and saying like, yeah, I've hooked up with a couple of people since then. And if Schwartz was asked the same question, Schwartz would never be as forthcoming. You know what I'm saying? Like Katie's kind of lives her life, seems like, honestly.
On Watch What Happens Live, when Andy, I forget who asked this question about Schwartz, like, are you ready to admit that you stepped out on Katie during your marriage?
Oh, yeah.
He was like, the wheels were turning. He was like, do I like admit it? And he like basically admitted that, yes, he was cheating on Katie way more than the times that we've seen. And Sandoval was,
he said a couple times.
I'm like, I doubt it was just making out that he was doing, if we're being honest.
Well, my theory with Schwartz was always that he would get so wasted because he wanted to cheat. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like he would get so wasted, so it would give him like I don't know if it was like it was deep in his subconscious, but I always felt like he did that because it like let him do that and kind of have a reason why he did that. Of like, oh, Bubba, I was so wasted, Bubba. I don't even remember, Bubba.
Right,
And
right. He's like, I couldn't. If I can't remember it, then how do I know I did it? So it's like, yeah,
exactly. Well, it's Kyle Cook in a way. Kyle Cook in a sense when he was doing that on Summer House a couple seasons ago. But I think I saw that on Watch What Happens Live, and it shocked me that I was like, dude, you just admitted to multiple times cheating on her like it was nothing. Like, well, you know how it is in a marriage. You got to step out. And I was like, that's wild to fully admit on national television. Like, that's so. And he goes, I have no regrets. And then he proceeded to say a bunch of regrets he had. And I was like, that actually is regrets, Tom. That's full regrets. And I like Ariana and Tom and Sheena. They're kind of like this nice sprinkling right now. Like I want more Sheena, but when we had Sheena, it was funny. She did a talking head about Randall not being the owner of pickleball. And if he was the owner of pickleball, the Pickleball Association would probably sue him. I thought that was funny.
Right. Yeah, no, that was funny. There was no Brock, obviously, which I think was good for us. No Brock.
And
I'm
little Lisa, very little Lisa.
very little Lisa. I think between Lala and my grandma's FaceTiming me, by the way, but I'm not gonna answer. Between
Get her in,
Lala
man.
and Schwartz, I think that I'm obviously team Lala, even though I never thought I would say that because Lala is so insufferable. But in this instance, it's like, why is he still hanging out with Rand? Like, he doesn't need to. There's no reason to.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and he kept using pickleball as an excuse, like it was some sport that like you're magically drawn to. And like that was the funny part of like, dude, I just want to play pickleball, dude. That's all it is. I love pickleball. And it really is a ridiculous thing to use as an excuse. Like, I'm not much of a dude, but I even know that I don't think pickleball is like the bro-tastic sport that he wants to make it as.
I don't understand, like, what is with everyone such an obsession with pickleball? Like, where did pickleball come from?
I think it's like that's why I said on the show on Friday. I said it's like big pharma. There's like big pickleball somewhere where they're paying people to get into it. Like my sister got into pickleball all of a sudden in Arizona, and all of her like friends are playing it. I was like, what is going on
In Arizona? I'm a pickleball truther. I really am.
Okay.
Like, there's something going on. There's something going on.
I think it has to do with the aliens personally.
Yeah.
Summer House comes back tonight. Are you excited for Summer House? We got the reveal on Friday that Carl no longer works at Loverboy. He is an investor, but he no longer works at Loverboy. Thoughts?
Wait, I was going to ask you when Summer House came back because I genuinely had no idea. Wait, it's on Sundays now?
No, Monday. Tomorrow this is going to air on Monday. And then so tonight, yeah, it's airing right up against the Super Bowl. It's right up against the Super Bowl.
I'm so stupid. Ryan always does that. Like, he's obviously talking to the listener, but I'm like, no, it's all about me. And for me, it's Sunday. Okay, yeah, it's on Mondays. Okay. I was going to say that'd be really silly if they premiered it during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that would be like a really weird move on Bravo's part. In fact, is Potomac Reunion airing tonight? Or are they going to wait a week to do that? That would be stupid as well.
I don't think it is. I was just looking on the TV guide, and I think they're just doing Below Deck reruns tonight.
Oh,
so yeah,
that's literally what they air all the time.
I know. Yeah, no Potomac on Sunday night. The Last of Us. Did you know The Last of Us? They had their newest episode on Friday.
Did you watch it?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Dude, I'm so in. Guys, there's a new show on HBO I talked about last week called The Last of Us. I think there's 4 or 5 episodes right now. You might have heard a lot about the standalone episode with the 2 dudes, the guy Murray Bartlett and Nick Offerman, which was beautiful. But it's really great blend of Walking Dead, but even kind of takes it even more serious. And it's like this beautiful story. But that last 20 minutes of last night's episode was like, and that little boy, the little boy was so good. The little deaf kid was like amazing.
I know. I can't even talk about it because I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Last of Us. I I was like kind of late to the party, I feel like, but I'm finally caught up and it's obviously amazing. It lives up to the hype. And I was not, it should come as no surprise that I'm not like a gamer. Like I didn't play the game or anything. But it's still obviously amazing. And then
Can somebody explain the game though? Do you play the like? I know this is
that's
based
what
on a video game. Is there like scenes that you play and you like talk for the
I was
character? Like I don't get it.
I was asking the same thing because now everyone's posting like TikToks and reels of like scenes from the video game. And I'm like, is it just like, do you just sit there and watch it? Or like, can you control anything as a player? Like, I don't get how it works.
Yeah, and I know there's obviously you probably fight the mushroom fungi people, but other than that, it's supposed to be like a storytelling game, and I'm just not a gamer at all. So I mean, I really love the show, but I don't know if you like the video game, if the show holds up or not. But it's really flipping good. Did you get to see any of the Grammys last week, and what were your thoughts about Beyonce not winning the major award and it going to Harry Styles?
I actually didn't watch the Grammys because I like just don't care about the Grammys. I think that I'm just like, I'm not as into music as I want to like pretend I
Okay.
am. I listen to podcasts constantly. Like if I'm using Spotify these days, 99% of the time it's podcasts. I feel like I'm so behind on like the hot, cool music. I don't spend a lot of time on TikTok. I know I sound so lame, but I just like don't
You
care.
don't wait. You don't. I thought you did. I thought you started TikTok, or in fact, I saw one of your TikToks the other day.
Yeah. I actually I did post on TikTok the other day, but like I'm not like scrolling. I don't know. I'm just like I'm not super into like the hot young hip like artists that all of the young kids are into. I
Yeah,
just like I don't know. I can't keep up with music these days. And it's not like, when you would drive as like for me when I was like a 16-year-old, like a teenager driving, and I would just put on the radio because aux cords weren't even like a thing yet. And I would just put on the radio and the radio would introduce me to like what music. Now it's like I'm just overwhelmed. Like what am I supposed to listen
there's
to
so
myself?
much.
Yeah, there's so much. And also the Grammys, like I feel like the Grammys have always kind of been a joke. Like
Yeah,
they're always awarding like the industry plants and the people in the
but it's
industry
like
that make them the most money. They're not really awarding those that make the best music. Like I just always feel like the Grammys are a joke. So like I understand why people are frustrated by the Beyonce snub. Um,
but she
but I also
also ended up being the most decorated artist of all
right.
time that night. And I like it. I like Harry Styles. I just thought it was fascinating that all of a sudden we're like, a lot of people were like, fuck Harry Styles. And it was like, that's
Oh,
wild
I
to
feel
like
like
all of a sudden.
I feel like the Harry Styles downfall has been like it's really been heating up, and this was like the perfect moment for people to really like let loose and tell the world how much they deep down despise Harry Styles, which it kind of like for a while he was one of those people that had just like this rabid stan base on Twitter and that you couldn't really like insult on Twitter without getting attacked. And now I'm like, all I see are negative Harry Styles tweets.
Oh, all of a
Um,
sudden it just like popped up where everybody was like, they
yeah,
even did a reverse angle of him on stage and people were like, this was what Beyonce's award, you're a loser. And I thought that's weird to be at that high of a moment in your life and still be being made fun of. And I was like, that's so
right.
bizarre to me because you would like both. And the Grammys are just like the Oscars, they're voted on. And it's kind of ridiculous at the end of the day because you can't quantify talent. You just can't.
I know. I doubt that Beyonce cares as much as everyone else cares. I really
Yeah.
just I think that they all know that like it's who cares? Who cares about the Grammys at this point? Like the Grammys are not the end all be all of like what is. I know that it's a prestigious award obviously that, all of these artists will work towards and dream about winning. But Beyonce has won more Grammys than anyone on the planet, and I think that she's probably satisfied with you know,
Yeah,
her
I think she's.
her
By the way, I think
situation.
she's really. I think she's more than good. And by the way,
Yeah.
like I'll never win a Grammy, and like there's a good chance you'll probably never win a Grammy, and therefore I don't truly care who
Ryan.
wins the Grammy. No, I know. I said probably. I mean,
Okay.
listen. Now I'm going to take that back. You probably will win one. I know. I definitely
Mhm.
won't win one.
I'm
Um,
gonna
I do
speak
want to
on
talk. Yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention that Viola Davis did EGOT at the Grammys, and that really truly is amazing. Where it's the Emmy, Grammy, Tony, and the Oscar, and she's won all of those now, which is insane.
yeah.
I wanted to bring up really quick the Army Hammer article from a week and a half ago. Vanity Fair has this side publication now called Airmail, which is delivered online. And they have some decent articles about the Idaho killer, the Idaho murders, but they released this Armie Hammer article, and I just think it was like, this was a weird time to pick for you to come back, and I don't think it particularly worked. What were your thoughts?
First of all, I don't want to sound like Kyle Richards, but it was like extremely long. I had to read it in like 3 separate sittings because it was just so long.
Sutton read it in 1 sitting. Sutton was able to knock that out
sure
immediately.
Yeah, it wasn't the redemption arc that he probably was hoping for. The fact that a lot of it came down to him kind of denying these experiences of these women was just bullshit. So I don't think he's going to be accepted back to Hollywood anytime soon. And I think he probably knows that deep down, even though this is like an attempt at a comeback, he's not going to get hired anytime soon. It was kind of satisfying hearing about all of the dominoes falling when this first happened, like just job after job after, like he was like on top of the world. He had tweeted that thing in early 2021 where he was like, I'm going to make 2021 my bitch and kneel down before me and kiss my
I'm going to tie 2021 up like a,
Right.
I found this interesting because already Hole started getting poked in this interview immediately because he had done this, and I had told you guys about that. I found it so ridiculous where he said, well, not ridiculous, because if anybody threatens their life, like we've learned from Jen Shaw, you have to take it seriously. But he said, hey, man, I swam all the way out into the ocean until my muscles couldn't work anymore. And I just thought maybe I'll drown or a shark will get me. And, I just happened to make it back. But in that moment, I didn't want to be there. And he put it at a certain time. And then Courtney Vukovich, or one of the ladies, said, weird. I have the same story that Armie texted me a year and a half before he said this even happened. And so Vanity Fair, this airmail, had to make an update to the article in the last couple of days. It says, editor's note, in his initial interview with Airmail, Hammer dated his unaliving by drowning attempt as having occurred in February 2021, but has since said that he confused the date and that it had occurred in the summer of 2020. So Armie now is confused. He goes on record saying, you know what? I am actually confused about when I swam into the ocean, because Courtney actually had the text message proof of that he was like repeating this story again and again.
And that was before any of this came out. So that actually was like my favorite part of the article, because I was just picturing him like, he was like, I would just hope to get eaten by a shark or like struck and killed by a boat. What are the odds of either of those things happening? What are the odds? They're like statistically
unless
impossible.
You're one of the Murdaugh boys,
I know. And then when it didn't happen, he would just like swim back to shore. He's like, oh, well, maybe next time. And
I guess I'm indestructible.
I tweeted about this and someone replied and they were like, you can come help me if you want. Like Jax Taylor.
Jax. Help. So anyways, the Army thing I just thought was ridiculous. Well, not ridiculous, but I think if you're looking at career rehab, you have this happening. You have his father's memorial service coming up either next weekend or the weekend after that. And we'll probably get a photograph of Armie looking somber, which I'm not saying because he obviously is a tragedy, but I do feel like this is part of a overall image rehab for him. And I just don't know if this step right here worked for him. And I also want to know more about why this author wrote this article in the first place, because he said he was put in touch through an intermediary for Armie. And I want to know who that intermediary is. Like, who's the one that invested in trying to get this man in Airmail for an interview? Like, I want to know who set that up. Was it Robert Downey Jr.? Was it,
You know who randomly writes for Airmail Weekly is Cassie David.
Oh God, Larry David's daughter.
I'm obviously not implying that she has anything to do with the Armie Hammer redemption arc, but like when I think of Airmail Weekly, I think of Cassie David, because that's what her column is on. So I don't know. Who knows?
Speaking of the villains, though, you were talking about Jax, and Jax actually is confirmed for a reality show on E. We finally got him back on TV, and they're doing an all villains show. And so it's a house of villains. It's him, Tiffany Pollard, I Love New York. You got Johnny Fairplay from Survivor. You have, I think, somebody from Big Brother. Like, there's a really slew of decent people. And I was going to ask you this, because I kept thinking about this. If the show is saying these are all bad people, are we allowed to enjoy Jax again in that capacity? If we're all already saying these are horrible people.
I think there's a spectrum of horrible people because Corinne Olympios, for instance, I don't think that she is like an evil, like remorseless piece of shit. I think she's like a normal girl that kind of, she's from The Bachelor, Nick Vile's season of The Bachelor. I think there's a spectrum. And then you have Johnny Fairplay, who obviously was a horrible person when he was on Survivor. Who else?
He said his grandma died. He said his grandma died to get on to get like to get an advantage in Survivor. It was Tiffany. You don't know Tiffany Pollard? I Love New York.
Wait, no. I'm confirming. Is she on the show?
Oh yeah. That's what I read.
I love Tiffany Pollard. She's iconic. Yeah. So it's like there's a spectrum. I think that like Jax is so pathetic at this point, and this is all he has. That like. Okay, sure. I'm sure he's going to be entertaining, but like, I don't know.
Do you think how deep into the first episode we'll get the first? You know what? I played a character on the reality show. It's not the real me. I played a villain. Like I wasn't an actual villain.
I'm married with, a child now. That life is just behind me. I knew what I had to do to pay the bills.
Yeah.
You're no angel, sweetheart. You're no angel.
You know how expensive Los Angeles is? Do you know how pricey things are? I have to put food on the table. I'm doing this for my dad. I'm doing this for my family.
I'm a father now. I'm a father. I'm a husband.
And you know what? Let those crazy kids enjoy themselves on Vanderpump Rules. And by the way, now I do get like, he is already off filming because I was like, why is Jack so quiet? I was like, is he really just sad that Vanderpump Rules started up again without him? And like, it must be really sad for like, Kristen and the others to watch all of this kind of good attention being put on the show. And everybody's like, Vanderpump's back. And I just like have to imagine for them, it's got to be potentially a sad time because they're like, oh man, I used to be on that show. And people really, it's got to feel weird. But I guess Jax is off filming this show. He's finally, and I'm kind of excited.
Can I just say that I tweeted during the show, one of those videos, the COVID, the anti-vax, like, people that are like, oh, look what the vaccine did to me. I can't stop shaking. I tweeted a video of one of those and I was like, this is Jax Taylor tonight, knowing that like his show is premiering again without him for the second straight season. And someone DM'd me and they were like, doesn't this woman have like a nerve disorder? Like, where's the joke? Like, I'm so offended, like blah, 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 was very offended. And I was like, wait, no, this is one of the anti-vaxxer people. And then I found the original one and she was like, oh, you're right. But I was like, I'm not making fun of nerve disorder, I promise.
It is wild though for people that are chronically online, but they're like trying to like do good and virtue signal and stuff. Like I did a Hilaria Baldwin, that video from a couple of weeks ago where she was like, you got to stop following my kids. It says, you got to stop. They want to say, mommy. And I literally put in the description, I agree with Hillary Baldwin about what she's saying about the paparazzi following. I agree with that completely. What took me out was the intense use of the accent. And people still to this, like, it was 2 weeks ago, and I'm still getting comments of like, oh, God, she's still doing the accent. Or, how dare you? You are a sick man. Do you not see these paparazzi hounding her? I'm like, once again, please read this. It is a sickness for somebody to take on an accent of somewhere you never lived. Just because you appreciate something doesn't mean you need to do cosplay of that.
Right. And it's also not like a victimless crime. Like the fact that Ilaria was cosplaying, appropriating a culture for her entire career and getting on magazine covers because of it, and getting, special interviews and appearances because of it is all very nefarious. And not to mention the fact that the people that we should actually be focusing on right now or thinking about right now, instead of feeling bad for Ilaria and Alex,
is Halyna Hutchins and
Halyna Hutchins' son and husband. That is who we should be pitying. I have no pity or sympathy for the Baldwins. I'm sorry, I don't. And I think I actually talked about this maybe a couple weeks ago when we were talking.
We've talked a lot about her over the years,
No, I know. But the fact that Alec like spoke to the police without a lawyer right after it happened was like something that people are like, no, why did you do that? You should never, ever, ever do that. It's clearly someone that thought he was so untouchable and so famous and so rich that he would never have to face consequences. Um, and also the fact that apparently he didn't take mandatory firearm training that he was supposed to take.
Yeah.
He's going to be found. I mean, he's already charged with manslaughter, but he's definitely going to be liable. And I will say I do feel bad for the Baldwinitos, for the children.
Yeah.
I do feel bad for them because there's so many of them. And how are Alec and Ilaria going to be able to afford them? No one's going to hire Alec soon. He's going to be sued out of his ass. I feel sad for the children.
Another lawsuit got filed this week from the family. So the lawsuits keep coming in because he not only was an actor on this, he was the producer, one of the producers on the movie itself. So in a sense, he was in charge of the overall safety, even just by name of a producer on the movie.
Right.
I know you got to get out of here.
Every definition.
Yeah. I know you got to get out of here in like 5 minutes or a little. So I want to do a couple of just opinions. Did you watch Real Houses of New Jersey? I don't know if you messed with that show, but I wanted to get your opinion on the Teresa Giudice, Jacqueline Larita photo from yesterday.
No. Okay. I watched back when Jacqueline was on it. And then I watched like back in the day. And I'm like so many seasons behind at this point. But I saw that there was like a lot of drama with Teresa and Melissa in text messages. And like I want to know what's going on because I don't watch. So
basically we had the season premiere of Jersey this week, and I talked about it on Thursday's episode, but like it picks up right where the last 5 seasons have left off. They're still in the same bullshit fight. Melissa and Joey against Teresa. Teresa's with Louis now, and like he's still, the perfect guy to Teresa. But supposedly there was this text message that they found out, like Melissa texted Teresa after the reunion last year saying, listen, I get it. I'm not offended that you don't want me in your wedding, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to leave it alone. And then supposedly Melissa said 2 months went by. And then finally Teresa responded back and said, hey, I want to invite you to my 50th birthday party. It's an island party with all my closest friends. And Melissa was like, you waited 2 months to and the first thing is to invite us to a party? Like, what's up with that? And then Teresa goes, actually, there were all these text messages in between. And then Melissa shot back of like, no, see, there was a 6-week period of time. All of this stuff, but at the same time, I'm kind of tired of the receipt stuff. It's like, I don't want us as the audience to have to do that. I want the show to do that. Like, why do they have to then relitigate in Instagram posts? And like Teresa's on her podcast making a good point of saying, I gave birth on the show. I went to prison on the show. I did this on the show. I did that on the show. And you can't ride my coattails anymore, which is just, I get it from Teresa's side, but it's still bizarre on a whole nother level. And then yesterday we get the Jacqueline Larita photo where her and Jacqueline had not been friends for a very long time. And all of a sudden they're in Vegas with Louis and I think her dude as well. And they post a photo and everybody's like, oh shit. I just want that to be for real and not Teresa trying to get back at Melissa in some way. This shit has gone on way too long, in my opinion. And Teresa's fans, I think I'm one of them, but not intense as tree huggers are. They're like insane. On Twitter, people are like, it's like jihad or something. Like if you talk bad about Teresa, people are ready to like go nuts on you.
I actually have heard that too from Sam Bush, Bravo historian. Yes. They're brutal apparently, the tree huggers.
But it's like, I don't hate Teresa at all, but I also don't hate Melissa at all. And it's like, I feel like you don't need to take some stand. Like take a stand in your own life or something.
Side.
Yeah, you fence hugger. Are you kidding me? I just thought that was funny being a new show, but there's also just a tie. Like Teresa, I think everybody wants Teresa to be happy, but this obsession that they have with each other is so weird. And it's like, I guess some people you just have to let go. I'm okay if they're never friends again, but let's stop making it a plot point.
Right. Just let it go. Let it go at this point.
Yeah, I'm okay with let's just let it go. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, we get a Ben Affleck's Dunkin' Donuts commercial today at the Super Bowl, which I'm excited about. But we got more pouting Ben Affleck stuff at the Grammys last week. Did you see that preview for the new movie he directed, Air, with Matt Damon about the starting of Nike and getting Michael Jordan? It's called Air. You're going to see the preview today in the Super Bowl, but they released it early too. It looks awesome. I read that book, Shoe Dog, by Phil Knight, the creator of Nike, and he took a piece from the book, Ben Affleck, and it's all about them trying to get Michael Jordan to come over there as a young player, and he has to convince his parents to let them come, and that's what created Air Jordan, which then exploded Nike. But it's the story of just them trying to, and it's called Air, of trying to win over Michael Jordan, and it looks really fucking good. I gotta say, I like Ben Affleck as a director a lot.
Yeah, I mean, what was the last thing he directed? Argo?
He did like this gangster. He did this gangster film called like The Nightfall. It was very little. It wasn't seen
I
a
think
lot.
I think it literally had gangster in the title, didn't it?
Yeah, it was some kind of gangster. He didn't direct Deep Water. Damn it. Well, anyways, it wasn't The Accountant. It wasn't.
Was it American Gangster or something?
No, it wasn't The Last Duel, but I liked that movie. Live by Night. It was called Live by Night.
Oh, what's American Gangster?
That's Denzel Washington.
That was a 2007 movie with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. Never mind.
I love that movie, actually. That was a great movie. But I think Ben Affleck's a great director, and I thought you're going to dig the preview because you like sports, and I think your dude's going to like this as well. This seems like a movie I just find it hysterical that no matter what, Ben Affleck seems miserable. He can have like the best of everything, but there's an internal miserable. It's kind of like that's how I feel like me. Yeah, I feel that's how I feel. Yeah. Like I'm excited to talk to you right now, but after this, I'll just get there and like stare at a wall and just pout. Like I feel like that.
Wall like this with no phone or device, just like this.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Okay, as we start winding down here, I was looking over your Substack though, and there was earlier in the week we had the rumor that Call Her Daddy, Father, Alexandra Cooper, or whatever her name is, she was going to interview Adam Levine because there was a clip released of like, okay, I used to like Maroon 5.
No, she goes like this. How many girls from Instagram did you you have to be watching this on YouTube to like understand my mouth movements, but that's what she does. And she's like, how many times did you cheat? And then it starts playing, she will be loved. And everyone was like, oh my God, Adam Levine. And then it ended up being Adam Devine.
Adam Devine.
Yeah.
From Workaholics. Now, because you have an article about like Call Her Daddy and stuff like that. And I've never listened to full episodes, but like, people are always like, oh, you got to listen to Sophia Franklin, Sophia with an F, which used to be her podcasting partner, and they're like, oh, she's really great. But it seems like, because I get a lot of her stuff pushed to me on TikTok, the Call Her Daddy girl, and she got this insane deal from Spotify. And I found it interesting that Spotify takes this real big investment in they paid $60 million. So they're going to push as much as they can towards her. Right. So it didn't seem too crazy to me that Adam Levine would go on there, because I'm sure Maroon 5 wants to get in good with Spotify. John Mayer did it a couple weeks ago. As somebody that's listened to it, is she a good interviewer, or she just go for those sound bites?
She is not a good interviewer at all. I'm checking on my dip. Let's see how who it looks amazing.
Oh my God, look at those nice cabinets. Wow.
Ta-da.
You have a backsplash? Wow.
Yeah, wait. So she's not a good interviewer. That's one of my biggest issues with her, is that I feel like interviewing is kind of like an art/science, where you need to be able to take whatever their answer is and bounce off of that, segue into something else, respond, listen to it, and not just have a list of rigid questions. She's the type of interviewer where she just like ignores what they say because she's just preparing the next question and then goes into her next prepared question. There's no like actual conversation or like insight. And she also, like, if you're looking for what I guess that OG Call Her Daddy was, which was like raunchy, crazy, sexy, like that is Sophia Franklin. Like, she's insane. She basically just came out and said that she cheated on Soup Man with a guy that ended up buying her a Birkin. She's like had tons of threesomes. She's just like, she's like genuine. Like, she was the one that had the stories, had the wit, the humor. And I know that I might be biased. I feel like I've been a huge Alex Cooper critic, but I feel like that's just like objectively the truth, is that Sophia was the one with the crazy stories. And yeah.
Well, I was thinking about this just in terms of like pop culture right now, is that it doesn't really seem, even with the Prince Harry book, it seemed like I heard the same six anecdotes, or however you say, how do you say that word? Anecdotes? And you know what I'm saying? Anecdotes. Sorry, God, anecdotes. I heard the same six things without reading the book. And I'm like, oh, I feel like I've read the book because I've heard the same six things pushed out to the public. And that's the same thing with Call Her Daddy, is I always feel like there's three things that usually get pushed from each interview. And I was just wondering if she goes for those moments or if she actually lets a natural conversation happen and then those moments just happen to appear. Because I was even thinking about that in terms of myself. Like I got to speak to Carl the other day and I was like, do I want to have a conversation? Do I want to try to get dirt? And I usually kind of err on the, I would like to have a conversation and see whatever unfolds from there, which is not the most popular way to think because you want to get pushed out in the press. I just didn't know if she was like actually all that in a bag of chips or if she just is those moments that she's going for, you know?
I love how so many people are like, I have never.
What? Sorry. Hide your face. Hide your face.
I have never listened to an episode of Call Her. I actually was explaining this to my boyfriend recently, but like people are like, I've never listened to an episode of Call Her Daddy, and I really don't. Like, I love John Mayer. I'm one of his biggest fans. He's been my cover photo on Twitter for 10 years now.
Why would you say this in front of your boyfriend right now? This is crazy.
But I can't listen to Call Her Daddy. I just can't get through it, and I feel like I'm not the only one.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because I get so much content pushed on TikTok to me about Alexander Cooper now. And so I can't bring myself to listen to it, and I eventually will. But I think it's just interesting to see where she came from with Sophia Franklin to now. And then Sophia Franklin almost seems like she's going to have a better career long term because the world, like she's not locked into some, I mean, it's amazing to have $60 million or however much she had, but Sophia Franklin can do whatever she wants. And, you know, people are coming around to her again, it seems like, from what I read.
I think Sophia Franklin has more longevity for sure, because she actually is talented, in my opinion. So
yeah, she was like the really funny one from what I had heard. I mean, I heard Alexander was just like very, finally, did you watch the Pamela Anderson documentary?
Yes. Oh my God.
Wasn't it flipping great?
I have such a newfound respect for her, and I feel bad that it took me this long to be like, Pam Anderson was done so wrong. And she is like such a down to earth, like, it's so crazy how her life has played out, getting discovered from being hot at a baseball game to becoming like this international sex symbol, literally probably the very first international sex symbol. Like, it wasn't just like, I guess you could argue maybe Marilyn Monroe.
Putin wanted to be around her. Like, she was able to get something done for animals.
Yeah, Baywatch was one of the first like internationally streamed sitcoms or whatever you want to call it. And
no, it was an hour-long drama. It wasn't weirdly wasn't a sitcom.
Whatever it was. Either way, she was one of our first international sex symbols. And she's had such a crazy life with Tommy Lee marriages and Kid Rock marriages and just the craziness and the boobs.
I finally understood the sex tape though. Like I didn't really fully understood, because I was like, oh, she's been nude before. And that was such an ignorant way to think. But finally hearing it in her words about how betrayed she did feel, you really finally got it. And I thought I was like, oh, damn, we really did do her wrong. These really were these personal things. And she truly was in love with this dude. And also the weird thing is, like, once this dude was physical with her, Tommy Lee, she left. We always say women stay too long. And like, this girl should have been celebrated of like, she loved him, but she wasn't going to stay around for abuse. And what do you think? Because Tommy Lee's currently married to Brittany Furlan, who I believe is an influencer as well. And she's kind of TMZ leaked this story on Thursday, I think, of like text messages that Pamela Anderson has sent to Tommy, kind of explaining more about things. And there's only one person that could have leaked these text messages, and it's Brittany Furlan. And I think that's like, isn't it so weird that like, we're already talking about how much leaks hurt both Tommy and Pam in the past, and now somebody in their house is leaking Tommy's phone? That's weird to me.
Exactly. I haven't paid too much attention to Brittany Furlan, but I guess she has not been handling this well, apparently.
No, and by the way, I get it. You know, you're protective of your husband, but at the same time, you can't come between somebody that like they have kids together. I don't think Pamela Anderson's like, let's get back together, but you know, they do have deep bonds that they probably, you know, have to talk through. But I love Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee responds by just showing a dick pic. He actually was like, check this out. not to Pamela, but he just posted it on Instagram and Twitter.
Oh my God,
and he posted a dong
Twitter.
shot.
He always posts weird dick pics on Twitter.
But I like that Pamela has like this deep, like like she's explaining herself beautifully in a book, and he's like, check out my huge dong.
Right.
Anyway, so Sophie, who are you predicting to win the Super Bowl today? Just so I'll record this later after the Super Bowl. The top. What are we predicting?
I don't know. I guess I'm hoping for the Eagles because that's my boyfriend's team. So I'm gonna say the Eagles. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Okay, I'm going Eagles by 20, and I'm saying Rihanna's first song is "Run This Town."
Same. I think that too.
And finally, sorry. Who's the Green Bay Packers? Who's the Green Bay Packers guy? The quarterback. Aaron Rodgers supposedly is going into a hole for 4 days to decide if he's going to play in the NFL again, and somebody's going to be like,
yeah, he's trying to make a decision about what team he's going to go to, and he said he's going and he's spending total darkness. Like that's when he's just locking himself in a dark cabin with no light and no devices, and the decision is gonna come to him.
Oh man, just fucking don't be a weird. Come on. Like once he started taking ayahuasca, it was over. Anyways, you guys, we're all gonna go enjoy the Super Bowl, or at least Sophie is, and I'm gonna watch the Rihanna part of the Super Bowl and the commercials. But thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sophie. I hope you get to the party on time. And this week will be a crazy week. We got Summer House tonight, another episode of Vanderpump Rules, Jersey, Potomac on Sunday. So we got a good week of TV. Oh, also check out Stolen Youth on Hulu, which is a 3-part docuseries about Larry. Oh, it's kind of slow, but it's really interesting. Okay, guys, happy Super Bowl. Happy Super Bowl. Bye.